Hello everyone, I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and today I'm coming to you with a little bit of breaking news with this interview I have here. I recently was able to sit down with the Chief Technology Officer of KeepKey Hardware Wallets, Ken Hodler, and yes, that is his real last name. KeepKey's been pretty quiet on the social media front lately, as well as when it comes to pushing updates to the platform. And there is a reason behind this, and this is what myself and Ken get talking about during this interview. Ken reached out to me himself, said that he wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes at KeepKey and why they've been so quiet about things lately. And yeah, it's an exciting development. So please enjoy my interview with Ken Hodler from KeepKey. Hello everyone, welcome to my interview here. I have a man that I've spoken to in the past, and I use the products from the company that he works for. And I'm actually, you know what, I'm gonna let him introduce himself right now. Can you let the people know who you are and what company you're with?
Hi, I'm Ken Hodler. I'm with KeepKey. I'm the CTO at KeepKey.
Awesome. And did I hear your last name correctly, Ken Hodler?
Yes, indeed. I just had it legally changed about 2 weeks ago.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. That's what a great.
I figured, you know, I mean, this industry has kind of turned into my life. So, you know, what better name to have for, you know, somebody who works at a wallet company.
That's fantastic. Good for you. I mean, that's dedication if I've ever seen it. So could I get a little rundown of how you got into Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space? Like, what led you here?
Right. So, so I discovered Bitcoin in early 2011. I took it slow coming in, right? I kind of was putting my toes in the water for a little bit. And when I first saw it, it was Bitcoin was at $4, and so I thought, you know, this is a pretty interesting experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and buy some Bitcoin, and then it jumped up to $6, and I was like, oh, I missed the price rise.
As everybody, right?
Right. Yeah. So instead, I decided to set up a mining rig. So I mined for probably about close to a year, I guess. And then let's see, it's been about 2.5 years since I joined KeepKey, and it was just just a job listing that showed up, and I applied, and here I am. And I'm, you know, and it's the thing that I love about being here and being part of KeepKey and being part of the cryptocurrency space is every day I get up and I'm excited to go to work every single day. Because it's just so fascinating and there's so much going on. So
yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people in the crypto space and working with Bitcoin mirror those feelings. Like, everybody working in crypto tends to love their job and it drives them to come in. So that's really awesome to hear. I'm glad.
Yeah.
So some of the people watching my show can be relative newcomers to Bitcoin. So can you tell everybody what is KeepKey?
Okay, yeah. So KeepKey is a device that that holds cryptocurrency. So it's commonly referred to as a hardware wallet. And what it does is it stores the the most difficult part of having a wallet in cryptocurrency is managing your private key. And because if you do it wrong, you're going to lose your funds. You're going to either lose the key and then you can't get your funds, or some hacker's going to come along, you get on your computer and then they get your funds. But with a hardware device, it's an extra layer of protection. The transaction has to run through the device, and you have to acknowledge it by pushing a button on the device. So it displays the details on the screen, and then you can push a button to acknowledge it.
Awesome. So it's basically keeps your private keys off of any internet connected device, because if I'm not mistaken, the private keys that allow you to spend your funds never actually leave the KeepKey itself. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. At some point we realized, well, you know, Trezor has an open source firmware, so, and it's great. So we decided to go ahead and use that for the KeepKey device. Since we forked it, we've diverged somewhat, but they're the same. They're very similar in how they're constructed.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, what I have noticed the last little bit is things have been a little quiet. Like your social media there's not too much going on. It seems like there's been some, not a ton of updates lately. And you actually, we got talking before this, and you said that there's a reason behind that. You had some news, a bombshell to drop or something. So maybe you can enlighten people as to what's been going on behind the scenes at KeepKey.
Yeah, sure. So it's been we've been going through a transition, and it's a pretty substantial transition for our company. The founder of the company, decided that he wanted to move on to his next project, and so we talked about it a little bit, and I told him I'd like to try to keep KeepKey going, and so I started talking to some people and trying to figure out what it was going to take to make that happen. And so we integrated with Shapeshift about a year ago, I think. And so I knew all of the people there, and we called them up. I called them up and had the former founder call them up as well, and it turned out that Shapeshift was interested in buying KeepKey.
Oh, really? So
yeah.
they're acquiring you guys?
Yes, yes. We are going to be a subsidiary of Shapeshift.
Okay, so
yeah.
So what exactly does this mean then? So they're acquiring you. You had the integration before. What does this look like going forward then? So I mean, anybody not familiar with Shapeshift, just for a quick rundown, I've done videos on Shapeshift before, but it's basically allows you to seamlessly convert between multiple cryptocurrencies. They've got a website. They integrate with a few different wallets and with the KeepKey software, so you could do that seamlessly within the wallet firmware. So they're now going to be owning an actual hardware company. So what does that look like going forward for KeepKey the company and for KeepKey users?
Well, so what it means for KeepKey the company is that we're going to be able to really focus on building out the product. And by that, I mean, the thing that Shapeshift is most interested in for KeepKey is that it provides a pretty unique experience for using their service. If you've used their website is fine, but it does require a lot of back and forth between one or more wallets in order to do a transaction. And with KeepKey, that becomes fairly seamless. So their interest in acquiring us is to, I mean, it's almost a platform that enables their service. And so what I think, and their real interest in us in, as far as the future of the product is making sure that the product supports more and more of the cryptocurrencies that are important to them. And important to their users, because that is going to create a lot of synergy between the two products.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, and Shapeshift is pretty infamous for being able to integrate new currencies relatively quickly.
Yes.
Is that going to be helpful for KeepKey as far as the firmware goes? Is that going to be helpful for you guys?
Well, so what you're going to start to see with KeepKey and Shapeshift together, I think, is that KeepKey, they're really interested in us having more currencies. So for users, that's good. That allows them to easily hold multiple currencies, whatever portfolio they want to have. I expect that we'll also probably integrate with their Prism product, but that work hasn't started yet. And then there's a couple of other products that they're working on that will be right there when they're ready to turn those services on. So yeah, so and it's going to provide this seamless platform. So the users, the immediate effect you're going to start to see is that there's more cryptocurrencies available on the device.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, anything where people have increased choice and a more seamless experience is a bonus in my book.
Right.
So when like, does that go forward immediately? When does this all take effect?
As of today.
Okay, awesome.
The acquisition is official as of today. Wow.
All right. So that's fantastic. So what does the working environment then look like here? Like, are there going to be Shapeshift resources now available to KeepKey? Are, you know, the KeepKey team now working closely with Shapeshift? Like, what, working wise, how is that going to change, or is it going to remain the same but you guys are just partnered? What's that look like?
Yeah, so immediately what's happened is that with our Bitcoin Cash integration, we've been a little bit strapped on resources, primarily because during the transition time, you know, I mean, we just had to out of necessity, we had to just kind of trim things down as much as we could in order to contain our, you know, we only had a certain amount of money to work with to get through to the acquisition. So, so immediately what started to happen is that we've been getting some help from some engineers from Shapeshift to get Bitcoin Cash implemented, and it's been tremendously helpful. And then ongoing, there's some, you know, there's just some basic infrastructure stuff that it makes sense for us to share. Like, we both have to have blockchain servers, so, you know, why not share them? You know, and so there's going to be a little bit of economy of scale there between Shapeshift and all the different projects that they're working on, and you know, and what the needs for KeepKey users are.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Now, you mentioned the Bitcoin Cash implementation. Now, I just wanted to touch on a couple things there. So you guys did just update to allow people to see their Bitcoin Cash balance.
Yes.
And then in the works, you're going to have, so people are able to send Bitcoin Cash out, and
yes,
users can do what they choose with that. Is like, how far out do you think that is, or do you know yet?
Well, so I'm not exactly sure on that. We still have a pretty good chunk of work to do. I was hopeful at the end of last week that we would be done by the end of this week. It's starting to look like that might go into the next week, but I mean, we're working as fast as we possibly can, and I'm pulling in, you know, resources from all over Shapeshift, frankly, at this point, to get it done. So I expect that it's gonna happen fairly quickly.
Okay, awesome. Now, one more thing related to the Bitcoin Cash thing. So Bitcoin Cash kind of came out of nowhere. And a lot of companies basically had to scramble almost out of necessity to support it, because, I mean, when all of a sudden you have a new asset that's worth, you know, even though it's a fraction of the Bitcoin price, it's still a sizable, you know, it's not nothing, right? And so a lot of companies were pretty much pressured into putting time and resources and money into supporting this. So, like, how did that affect the team? How did that affect, I guess, morale? What was it like dealing with this? Like, were you I can't imagine you were super happy about it, but
you can't, you don't even know the half of it too. So I started a remodel of my house just before all this happened. And it was a lot of you know, a lot of the, like, little fiddly work, like installing the plumbing and, you know, the sockets and all that stuff. I'm doing myself. So all of that is still sitting.
Oh man.
I've literally worked every day for the last 3 weeks and it's usually been 12-hour days. So it's been pretty grueling. But you know, I realize how important it is for us to really do what we can do to take care of what our users need. And I'm hopeful that you know, there's a good chance that there's going to be at least one other fork before the end of the year, possibly more. And I believe that going through this has put us in a much better position to go through it again next time. So, you know,
yeah,
and I think it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, this stuff's going to happen. There's been probably about 2 years of a lot of arguing in the community over what the path forward is. And I believe that this fork and the upcoming fork before the end of the year are going to help to put some of that contention to rest, which will allow us to to consolidate. You know, maybe we consolidate as multiple tribes. Maybe we end up coming back together somehow and moving forward. But at least it allows us all to move forward. And I think that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other hardware wallet companies, Trezor, when they came out with their support of Bitcoin Cash, much to the dismay of some of the people involved with Bitcoin Cash, they started referring to it as Bcash, and they were pretty vocal that they were not treating it as the main Bitcoin. They were treating it as an altcoin. Now, I mean, it seems like the industry, by and large, is pretty unanimous in that feeling. But moving forward later into the fall, when we get to the 2x portion of SegWit 2x, if there ends up being a contentious fork, do you guys have a game plan with how you would decipher what is considered to be the main chain? Like, what do you do when you look at that?
Well, so we really try not to take a position on that. I mean, I have my personal opinions.
As do anybody.
But as a company, we really we try not to take a position on that, and that's a very deliberate decision. We're gonna. So like with Bitcoin Cash, and I mean, and this is what happened for us and also for Trezor and Ledger and probably several of the other wallets, the desktop wallets. They had to support both. We have to support both. We intend to continue to support all of the forks that are viable, and by viable I mean it's getting actual hash power and blocks are actually being created. And we'll do that as long as that's the case, because it's really not. I mean, who are we to decide for our users what the right fork is?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair stance to take.
Yeah,
awesome. So, other than that, I guess moving forward, speaking of your users and not choosing for them, moving away from Bitcoin Cash, but more in a general sense, what have you learned from your users these past few years, as far as the service you're providing? You know, what works, maybe what can be improved upon, and what you're excited to provide moving forward with Shapeshift. Like, what I guess, what have you learned the most from all of your users and supporting the community?
I think that the thing that has served us the best at KeepKey is we've from the beginning we've kind of taken the approach of we want to make it as drop dead simple to use as possible. Even the if you look at our software, I think that it would be fair to say that it's pretty minimalistic. A big part of the reason for that is because the more options that you give to users, the more confusing it can be. So one thing that we've talked about, so an ongoing argument that we've had are, you know, about, do we add a knob or a dial for this or that or the other thing? And we've always tended toward not doing that. But at the same time, that cuts out a whole group of people who might want the more advanced features. So we're in discussions with some partners, some potential partners in the future, to solve that problem. You know, we currently offer integration with ETHEREUM, and we're you know, we're glad that we're able to integrate with them, because they offer way more advanced features than what we would want to support in our application. Just because they're the kinds of things that people can do something wrong and lose funds because of it. And it's really important to us that that doesn't happen. So we're probably going to continue down that path of having a more advanced wallet that enables the users to, you know, the more advanced users, the people who know what they're doing, who understand cryptocurrency very well, to, you know, twiddle all the knobs and turn all the dials and do what they need to do. But then for the more simplistic users, the people who are, well, I don't want to use the word simplistic, but the people who are less technical, let's say, have the, you know, it's just a real straightforward, the form where you send funds is, what's the destination, how much do you want to send, and a send button, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get any simpler than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So your goal is to basically provide a very bare bones, this is exactly what you're looking at, and there's nothing beyond that. And then maybe allow people to plug into, for now, external wallets that enable those advanced features. Like for myself, I use my mobile, I use my Cilium with the KeepKey, just because that's, for me, that's what works. And I also like to be able to use it just, I don't use my laptop for crypto as much. I just use my mobile. But
yeah. So it might be that we become that our client is the simpler option, or it might be that it's the more complex option. But either way, we want to make sure that both of those extremes are covered. That both sets of users get what they need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess first of all, I do want to thank you for coming to talk with me. Is there any other little details that you'd like to touch on before I do have a final question that I ask everybody, but is there anything else that you'd like to touch on before I start wrapping things up here as far as KeepKey? Or actually, you can also tell people where to find you guys.
Sure. Yeah. So KeepKey is, the availability is still pretty limited, but we are, as of, I believe today, we have a limited number available at Amazon and on our store at www.keepkey.com. So if you're interested in buying one, the price is $99. So it's, you know, it's a bargain.
That is actually pretty affordable.
If you're holding, you know, more than, geez, even a half a Bitcoin anymore, you probably should have it on a hardware wallet. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and you guys are on Twitter, right? At Bitcoin KeepKey?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So my final question that I always ask my guests is, I won't say it's a simple question. You can get as deep as you like or keep it as simple as you like, but what does Bitcoin represent to you?
Well, so, you know, I started out in Bitcoin looking at it as an interesting experiment. I believe that the experiment has moved way beyond, it's moved way beyond just being an interesting experiment. I believe that it really represents a different way of thinking about money, right? It's a fundamental shift, right? Because well, first of all, it embraces this technology that we call the internet in a way that money currently doesn't, and it how do I want to say it? It enforces good money principles, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't just go out and just create a bunch of money out of nowhere. You know, there's software that says exactly how much money you can create. So,
yeah, it's transparent, right? Like you can see, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, exactly. So I see it as a real step forward. I think it's that it has the potential to change the way we think about the world.
Awesome. That's as good an answer as any. So Ken, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I will link to everything you were talking about below. This will be going up on Wednesday afternoon. So as people are watching this, it's pretty much the right hot off the presses, pretty much. So so yeah, thank you for giving me the extra.
Thanks for so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy watching your YouTube channel, and I look forward to everything that you do. Every time I see one come up.
Well, that's very flattering to have anybody in the industry even bother to watch me. So yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and to everybody that's watching, please do check out keepkey.com. Check them out on social media. You can also find them on Amazon. And I have one for myself, and it has never let me down. So yeah, feel free to check them out. Ken, thank you so much.
Hit the like button.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, drop a tip if you're able to, and share this video. I'll see you guys next time on the BTC Sessions.